And this is the time that we need to let go of all of our barriers and the things that told us to not do, and let go of everything and really participate in oneness, humanity, and really care for each other.
Good afternoon, Africa and Europe. Good evening, Oceania and Asia. Good day, Australia. Good morning, Americas. I am Peter Blaze Corcoran, and I welcome you to the session, Youth Reading the World Through the Earth Charter, an Intergenerational Perspective. I'm speaking to you today from the land of the Wabanaki, the people of the dawn. They are the traditional, current, and future keepers of this land that is now called the state of Maine. And that is the North Atlantic Ocean. And just there is a settlement that we now date to 12,000 years of indigenous occupation. I'll introduce our good speakers during the program. Audience, thank you for joining us, and please feel free to jump into the chat. We'll be monitoring this chat, the Zoom chat, and also the Facebook Live chat, thanks to Brielle. So tell us where you're joining us from if you wish, or tell us of an experience with the Earth Charter, or a question you might have about the Earth Charter, or a comment. And we'll begin with a short video about the Earth Charter, very short, a couple of minutes. But first, I want to do three quick shout outs, if I may. One is to our small but mighty staff at our office in Costa Rica. We're based at the University for Peace, and I especially want to shout out to Miriam Vilela, our longtime executive director, without whom the Earth Charter movement would not be alive today and well. Second shout out to the youth, the Earth Charter youth, who are joining us from around the world today. We greatly appreciate your work. And the theme for the 20th anniversary of the Earth Charter has been conscience into action, which matches, of course, very well with Let's Do Something, the theme of World Unity Week. Thank you for joining us, Earth Charter youth. And just a final shout out to my young colleagues, a deep gratitude. As we've been preparing for today's session, I've really been reminded in a positive way of how difficult it is to be young today. These young people are dealing with COVID deaths in their immediate families, challenges with employment, and of course, the larger civilizational crisis that they face as young people taking their place in the world. So Ben, let's begin with that video, if we may. Welcome, everyone.
Magnificent, an ecosystem of diversity. The Earth is magnificent, an ecosystem of diversity with one shared destiny. But our home is in crisis, and we know we have to act. Yet knowing is not enough. We We don't need a new agenda, we need a new mindset. This is Earth Charter, a document with 16 principles turning conscience into action, our commitment to a just, sustainable, and peaceful world. With these foundations, we can all get to work. To the oceans, the mountains, and the forests. To our homes, our schools, and businesses. Powered by a growing global movement working together to make all life on Earth thrive. Founded by Visionaries 20 years ago. We invite the Visionaries of today to join us. To show the future that we're never giving up. We know you're ready. Now, let's get to work.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we have with us this day the visionaries of the future, 4 of them, and one of the great visionaries of the founding of the Earth Charter, Rabbi Awraham Soetendorp. Great note to begin on. I'll be brief. I want to make 2 comments and say 2 things about the Earth Charter, and then Amanda will take it from there and tell us more about the Earth Charter. First, I want to say how pleased we are at Earth Charter International to be a co-convener of World Unity Week, one of over 200 organizations from around the world that are supporting this week, and what a week it's been. And I'm also really proud to say from the other side, I'm involved with Unity Earth, how pleased we are that we've adopted the Earth Charter at Unity Earth as our set of guiding principles, ethical principles for the future. One thing to know about the Earth Charter is that it is based on the substantive content of many, many sources, ranging from the global ethics movement to the texts of the world's major religions to international law and, of course, thinking in the sciences, cosmology, and so on. Ben mentioned that it was, maybe before most of you came on, that this was a 17-year process. And the reason was that it is, to the best of our knowledge, the most collaborative and participatory process of any international agreement. Hundreds of thousands of people participated in that process in live meetings and through the internet as the Earth Charter Commission held hearings around the world. And so the participants in that process represented all the world's faith traditions and indigenous peoples from many parts of the world. And so the Earth Charter is imbued with ancient wisdom. The second thing I want to say is that for me, the heart of the Earth Charter is in the 4th principle. And that's what brings us to today. Principle 4B is to recognize that the freedom of action of each generation is qualified by the needs of future generations. And that's what we hope to give you a sense of today is intergenerational equity and intergenerational collaboration and intergenerational solidarity. I'd like to introduce to you now Amanda Bennett. Amanda is a coordinator of our youth activities, the youth program at our office in Costa Rica. She grew up in South Carolina, born in Costa Rica, now is back in Costa Rica. She studied at the University of South Carolina and the University of Maryland, where she took a master's in public policy. She enjoys the opportunity to reconnect with nature and her family from Costa Rica. Amanda, thanks for all you do and welcome.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you, everyone at World Unity Week. Thank you, everyone who is participating today. Thank you to my fellow panelists. I'm very excited to be joining you. It is 5 a.m. in Costa Rica. And when we started this meeting, it was still dark out. Also, I'm working from home, so I apologize for any noises from my chicken neighbors. So I want to start with a presentation very briefly, just for anyone who maybe has never heard of the Earth Charter or would like a refresher. So first, we like to put things in context. We are in the 21st century. A lot of people from my generation have grown up with the internet. People from younger generations have grown up with smartphones for as long as they can remember. And we're getting information about things that are happening around the world in real time. We have a lot of global issues that we can now know about, and then we can now understand the interconnection and talk to people in real time as they are happening to them. We have deforestation, we have air pollution, we have femicides, we have protests, discriminations, we have empty classrooms right now because of a pandemic, a pandemic. We have forest fires, as I mentioned, we have extreme weather events. So we know we have to act. Here I have some words from the preamble of the Earth Charter that I would like to share. When I first started working here, you could have told me that the Earth Charter was written that year, even though it was written so long. Well, for me, it's been a long time. It's fairly recent, but you can tell that it is still very relevant. So I'll read to you a few words from the preamble. It says, "We stand at a critical moment in Earth's history, a time when humanity must choose its future. As the world becomes increasingly independent and fragile, the future at once holds great peril and great promise. To move forward, we must recognize that in the midst of a magnificent diversity of culture and life forms, we are one human family and one Earth community with a common destiny." So what the Earth Charter is, it's a document with 16 ethical principles powering a global movement. So it's not just a document, it's also a living movement, thanks to all the people putting these principles into action. You can apply it in your personal life, in your home, also take it to your business or your community. It's a great tool for education. It can basically be applied anywhere in order to achieve sustainability and sustainable development. Very briefly, I can go through the history, even though Peter has already mentioned a lot of it. So in 1987, Our Common Future, or the Brundtland Report, was published. This report gives us a very good definition of sustainable development, which includes social inclusion and sustainability, our responsibility to preserve our home for future generations as we continue to have economic growth so that everyone can, so that we can achieve no poverty and no hunger. This report also called for a set of global ethical values, which is why at the 1992 Rio Earth Summit, which is the year that I was born, this process was started. There was no agreement on the Earth Charter, so it was postponed. And in 1994, Mr. Maurice Strong and Mr. Mikhail Gorbachev began the process again as a civil society movement. So Mr. Stephen Rockefeller, who is a professor of religion from the United States, was tasked with coordinating the drafting process. But this wasn't a document written by him in one day. This was a document written by many different people from around the world, young people, older people, people from all sectors of sustainability, gender equality, everything you can imagine. People's voices were heard, and this helped draft this amazing document that is still very relevant today. In the year 2000, it was launched. So this year, actually next week, we're celebrating Earth Charter plus 21 years of turning conscience into action, because it was launched on June 29th of the year 2000. And ever since then, people from around the world have been reading these principles and really living them, and seeing how what they are doing to contribute to a sustainable, just, and peaceful world is interconnected with every other action. So these principles outlined give us a very integral view of how we should be working together as one common family. In Costa Rica, we have the Secretariat. We have an Earth Charter Center for Education for Sustainable Development, because we believe this could be a great tool to be integrated into any sector. And so if you go to earthcharter.org, you can learn more about these different types of education programs. The Sustainable Development Goals were launched in the year 2015, and we believe that the Earth Charter principles could be a great ethical compass to help guide us towards meeting these targets. And there are many resources that you can check out on our website. I just wanted to highlight that the Earth Charter is divided into 4 different pillars. Most people, when they think of the Earth Charter, they only think of the environment. But really, if you take a look, you can see that it's 4 different pillars which make up sustainable development. So first, I can't read them to you today, but I really invite you to go check them out and reflect on these interconnected principles. So we have the pillars of respect and care for the community of life, ecological integrity, social and economic justice, democracy, nonviolence, and peace. So what I really hope that people remember from our presentation today is that there is still hope. We are running out of time, but there are people all around the world who understand this ethical vision, who understand that we have to do something, and we still have time. So the theme for World Unity Week is Let's Do Something. Our slogan at Earth Charter International is turning conscience into action, and we can't do it alone. So we really need you to help us out. And there are young people working all over the world. Even during a pandemic, we're connecting, we're learning things online, and we're getting out there and doing something. So I'll leave you with some words from the Way Forward, which is the last part of the Earth Charter. It says, "Let ours be a time to be remembered for the awakening of a new reverence for life, the firm resolve to achieve sustainability, the quickening of the struggle for justice and peace, and the joyful celebration of life."
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. Thank you, Amanda. I love your chicken neighbors.
Thank you.
And I have the seagulls and the birds here too. The quickening and the joyful celebration of life. You can feel it. I can't listen to that history, Amanda, without thinking about the Rabbi Soetendorp who's with us, and remembering he stood in 1992 in Rio, arm in arm with Maurice Strong, bringing the Earth Charter, we hoped, to the intergovernmental community, but the world was not ready for ethical commitments. Governments were not ready for ethical commitments. And then, of course, it went into civil society. And Rabbi, it's such a pleasure. We look forward to hearing from you in a bit. It's such a pleasure to have you with us as a part of this, the history of this important document. We'll go to India now, and Greshma Pious Raju is a young Earth Charter leader from Kerala. She completed her master's in international peace studies at the University for Peace, and she's passionate about environmental peace building and sustainability. Good day, Greshma.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you all for hosting this wonderful World Unity Week. Dear friends, I would like to share how Earth Charter influenced me in my life, and also how it shows directions for my work. In 2018, I traveled from my hometown in India to Costa Rica for my higher studies at University for Peace. In the same year, my home state, Kerala, witnessed a heavy flood, which made me realize how precious Earth and how precious the beauty of nature. It provoked me to think of ways of healing the wounds of Mother Earth. After my first semester, I got an opportunity to do my internship at Earth Charter International Secretariat. It was an eye-opening experience for me. I learned how Earth Charter influence and inspire and act as a compass to implement programs on topics like environmental conservation to peace building. That was amazing, and it inspired me a lot. and it inspired me to commit to Earth Charter and accept it as my guiding principle and ethical framework for my works on the ground level. In 2019, after my graduation, I came back to India, and again we had to face a flood, and which motivates me. The continuous disasters motivates me to start working at the ground level and working with children by using Earth Charter principles. I joined Leadership, Sustainability and Ethics course. It's a 10-week online program offered by Earth Charter International. It helped me to explore my leadership skills and creativity skills. And also I diving deeper into the knowledge of ethics, sustainability and system thinking. So that was also an amazing experience from Earth Charter. And I believe in small actions that can bring significant changes to the world. So to convey this message, I conduct various workshops for children by using Earth Charter as a guiding tool. I try to create a behavioral change in their attitudes towards nature and encourage them to act towards a better, just and peaceful world. The 5 key words I use for my workshops from Earth Charter principle are respect, care, compassion, protect, and peace. I communicate these 5 keywords by using different activities and games. I believe children are the agents of change, agents of hope. I believe love for nature is love for human. So if a child cares for the planet, if he cares for the nature, he will definitely care for the human. And he will definitely show compassion to the poor and needy. He will respect elder people. He will respect the nature. For that, I encourage children to plant a seed, water it daily, observe the growth, and notice the birds and insects come to it. And encourage one of your friends to do the same. By doing this action, I'm sure that his parents and siblings will join his efforts. So this small action can inspire and influence many. So small actions can bring significant changes to the world. This small action can create harmony in the family and in the society. This can create harmony in the nation and in the world. So Earth Charter is a document which wrote 20 years ago by visionaries who asked us to change and care for the community and care for the coming generations. So here we are in 2021 and Earth Charter is still relevant and it still guides us and asks us to change and care for the coming generations. I would like to conclude by reading Earth Charter Principle 16. We have to promote a culture of tolerance, nonviolence, and peace. Peace is the wholeness created by right relationship with oneself, other persons, other cultures, other life, earth, and the larger whole of which all are a part. Let us unite for the global good without any differences. Yes, we can change for a better tomorrow by doing small actions. Peace and blessings to all. Thank you so much.
Oh, Greshma, thank you so much. What a profound set of comments. I, of course, couldn't agree with you more about the importance of nature and bringing that to World Unity Week through the Earth Charter, the sense of wonder, the sense of awe that we can inspire children with. And your comments remind me that youth is divided into several generations. The children you work with are youth, your youth, and it's good to hear that even though the Earth Charter is old, by Amanda's standards, it's still relevant and still useful to the generations of youth. And harmony, thank you for bringing the point of the harmony that underlies. I mean, we're here about unity this week, right? And it's that harmony that underlies the unity that we seek through our teaching and through our work. So thank you so much. I'd like to introduce now Noémie Plumier. She's French. and Canadian with Spanish origins in the Alps. And she's joining us from Genève, near Genève. She has completed her undergraduate and master's degrees in international public law. And then after that, she has volunteered in Washington and worked on human rights projects in Ghana, Zimbabwe, Dominican Republic. But she grew up and the coast of the Mediterranean. And she says that her best friends were chickens. I'm glad the chickens have joined us this morning. Noémie, chickens and donkeys and horses. Welcome. Thanks for speaking.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, World Unity Week, for this opportunity, first of all, and welcome everyone who's joining us. Yeah, so that is true, Peter. I still have horses and mule, and I'm never better around animals. So you can understand why I ended up joining the Earth Charter. My dream is to own one of my dreams is to own one day an eco-friendly permaculture farm with rescue animals from the intensive industry. And I have been a vegetarian for 10 years now for animal rights, environmental, and health reasons. So on a personal scale, I consider myself having a very special connection with Mother Earth, and I want to defend all the voiceless animals, element, vegetation as a jurist, and I advocate for the rights of nature with the Earth Youth Advocate, bringing Principle 15, respect of all living beings of the Earth Charter, all the time with me in my heart. So as a youth environmental activist, I joined the course Greshma talked about, leadership, sustainability, and ethics, on a course of searching for more ethics and gain knowledge, and on the goal to complete my academic law background, because this was lacking in my studies. So more I followed the course week after week, and the more the Earth Charter principle resonated with me. I particularly love to exchange with the people all around the world with different backgrounds, different cultures during the group assignments. So this was really interesting, and everyone gained from this. I finally found one committed and commitment in a community with people sharing same values and having a holistic and interconnected perspectives and point of view, which also was sometimes lacking in my studies of laws and maybe the French vision a bit. So every principle is important, and they help me to read and analyze dilemmas in my everyday life. I rely on them to solve and resolve problems from an ethical point of view at work, as a volunteer, or in my spiritual journey. It also allows me to approach deep worries and concerns about the world around me with trustful and invaluable lenses, which I'm really grateful to find the Earth Charter now in my life. And I can say from my experience that the Earth Charter can definitely be a tool guiding you. Once you complete the Earth Charter course, you can join the Earth Charter Young Leader Program if you are part of the youth generation, but not too young and not too old. And you will see we have an open access app called Mapping, where we collect all our actions and we connect with each other with the Earth Charter principle. We also participate in monthly calls. We receive weekly updates on what is going on in the community. We listen each other's webinars or give and help each other on activities, and yeah, we support each other. And we are organized by regions with WhatsApp groups. And I decided to give a strong commitment to the Earth Charter International by being part of the structure support. So I am an European Earth Charter coordinator, young leader coordinator with Emma. So to finish, well, I can say that I'm super proud to be an Earth Charter young leader, and I can only recommend you to join this community if you want to improve your skill, find a support community, and join like-minded person willing to guide you as a young person. Thank you really much for listening.
Merci beaucoup, Noémie. I trust we're putting in the chat. I'm sorry, I'm not monitoring it here, but putting some links in the chat for the youth training programs and so on at the Earth Charter. If young people are listening, they can find out more information. And of course, our website, earthcharter.org. Well, thank you so much, young Earth Charter activists. And I'll bring us now to the intergenerational perspective, part of our presentation this morning. And it's such a great honor to introduce the Rabbi Awraham Soetendorp. He's been leading the liberal Jewish congregation in Den Haag in the Netherlands for many years. He's been president of the European region of the World Union for Progressive Judaism. He's a founding member of the Green Cross International with Mikhail Gorbachev. So relevant to us today, he was an Earth Charter Commissioner. I think that's a lifetime appointment, Rabbi. Once an Earth Charter Commissioner, always an Earth Charter Commissioner. He's a council member of the Charter for Compassion, and of course, he's an ambassador for this week, this World Unity Week. Among his many honors is the Scopus Award recently received from the Hebrew University in Jerusalem for his contributions to interreligious dialogue. Interreligious, intergenerational. Rabbi, my friend, on a personal note, I just want to say that you're an inspiration to generations, and your personal story as a child survivor of the Holocaust has and your life's work that results from that has inspired so many of us. It's a great honor for all of us to have you with us today.
Well, thank you. It's a privilege. And I'm so moved by the presentations that you, Amanda, Greshma, Noémie have just given. They were manifestations of your life and feeling. Your dedication gives me hope. When we started there in Rio de Janeiro in 1992, there was also a very young woman at that time, a girl, Suzuki. She was 12 years old. And she talked to us and to the whole United Nations. And that was the change that we needed. And then the years later, when we were in 2000 in the head office of UNESCO, and that was the last moment when we put together this holistic document where human and nature, yes, love for nature makes love for humans, and love for humans should give love to nature. And just at that moment, the mother of the Maoris, who is fortunately still alive today, Paulina Taggiora, she came forward and she said, "You all are dear to me, but you don't understand us, indigenous people. You don't understand what a tribe means. You don't feel the sustainability in your words." And there was a shock. Now at the end of all those years, we were suddenly on a road that would not lead together. And I was sitting in the back of the room and asked the floor. And I simply said, "Pauline, my sister, when I was a baby, I was in a suitcase with holes in it, carried by people who risked their lives. There was no Rabbi Soetendorp in the suitcase. There was a baby, like you. You and I are babies. And we make mistakes in expressions. We sometimes hurt each other with our words and even our good deeds, but we are united And this unity expressed itself in the two babies that are alive today. And Paulina Tagora moved from the other side of the room and she lifted me up. Well, I don't think she really could do that, but somehow it was like that. And she said, let's remain together forever. And thanks to her, we have the spirit. And that same night in the lobby of the hotel with Stephen Rockefeller, it materialized when Stephen said to me, Avram, it says here, it is a critical moment in human history. Could we change the word human into earth history? And I said, yes, Stephen. And he said, but what will the churches say? What will all those people of religion say? And we grabbed each other's hands and said, let's do it. And so it became the Earth Charter. Pauline made it into the Earth Charter. And we added the word that was lacking, strangely lacking, the word together in hope. Yes, miracles have happened. And this Earth Charter is engraved in the hearts of so many. A year later, I was in Japan, where we had this conference of Green Cross, to establish Green Cross with Gorbachev. And at the end of that conference, I was invited by young people to be together in a kind of celebration. And it was a Native American celebration. And I was struck by it. And suddenly there was a young person and he held a feather in her, she held a feather in her hand. And she said, it is our tradition to hand this feather to the elders and to ask them to tell a story that is dear to them and to give this lesson to us. And she gave the feather. And I, 50 years old, at that time, I didn't feel such an elder, but I was. I received this feather and I shared my life story. I shared also the story of a man who was old, standing on the corner of the street in an evil city. And a young man came by and he said, can I ask you something? My father tells me that you have been standing here, and even his father before. And all the time you say you should improve the city, you should be human, you should love the community of life, but nobody has ever stood and listened to you. Why do you continue? And the old man said, yes, you are right. My hair was black, and now I'm bent and gray. And yes, you are right. Nobody stopped to listen to me. But you know why I continued? I said to myself that if it is so, that I am not able to change the city, I will fight till my last breath that the city will not change me. I'm that old man. But I am strengthened by the fact that young people all over the world are listening to me and to others and listen to the lessons, and that like today, and everyone who is listening and being with us, that I am able to share these lessons with your vision and your dreams for the future. Yes, the farm will be there. Yes, your children's children will live in a flourishing world where love and respect will be the center. I have no doubt, no second, that we, with the power that is palpable all over the world, will seize this sacred moment and we will walk hand in hand. Some of us will go into the next world, but our memory will stay. Yes, yes, Lubbers, the former Prime Minister of Holland, who did so much, we heed your words when you said we politicians have to learn that we have to transcend national self-interest because of the necessity to safeguard the whole world. Yes, there is a change of heart, and God and the source of being in all his and her names will bless our endeavor. My dear, dear brothers and sisters, young, very young and old, the critical moment is there. But you know, what moves me, what moves us, is not the fear of destruction, but the love for you and your children and your children. And that love will sustain us and bless us forever.
Bless you, Rabbi Awraham Soetendorp. Thank you so much for bringing those stories and that inspiration to us. Dank u wel. It reminds me that we must not abandon each other as generations. We must support each other. And your experience is so profound with intergenerational solidarity. We really are moved by it and inspired by it. Rabbi, on a personal note, if you need to leave for Amsterdam, feel free. We're going to go for maybe 15 more minutes or so with some questions and comments, and stay if you wish, go if you wish. Our prayers and our thoughts go with you to see your brother. My goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Rabbi, I think it was from the Maori. I think of Pauline, your wonderful story of Pauline Tongariro. I think it was from the Maori that I learned that rain is a blessing. It's raining here now in the land of the Wabanaki, a blessing that came during a talk. So let me introduce now Brielle Ruiz, who's going to help us with questions and share a poem with us. We'll do it together. Brielle is a senior at Florida Gulf Coast University, a major in environmental studies. And in her future career as an environmental educator, she plans to integrate the energy and message of the Earth Charter into her teaching. She writes in her bio that she's an assistant to Peter Blaze Corcoran, which has been my joy for a while. Brielle, thank you for supporting all of us as we prepared today. And are there any comments or questions to share from the chat?
There's one that I saw on Facebook. Thank you, Priya, for a lot of your comments. Priya says, the Earth Charter is a set of global ethical values that could be adopted by all nations, all organizations, all cultures. The implications for the Earth are truly profound. Thank you, Priya. I agree. It's nice to see where everyone's sharing from. No questions in the chat yet, but I'd love to see some if anyone has any questions or comments.
And Brielle, we could also open it to comments from those in the Zoom room too. It doesn't have to be in the chat. If we have, I see some people, and Ben can help me if there's anyone who'd like to make a comment. We'd welcome that as well.
Yeah, if anyone wants to share something, feel free to raise your hand.
Let's bring our young panelists back up the front here. Greshma and Noémie.
I think I see Nancy raising her hand, Nancy Earth Charter, who feels like a divine new human.
Yes, hi. My love and passion is to see 7 billion self-loving, self-sufficient human beings. And when I hear that the teenagers are committing suicide and that it's the second highest rate of death among the young people, I am just mortified. And that I can so relate to them because I had like self-loathing. I'm 73. I did not even realize how deep my self-loathing, self-hatred was just because of some words an older person said to me, and I believed them, and I took it to heart. I was too empathetic and did not know how to shift I loved myself. I did lots of things for myself, traveled around the world, and yet no one was interacting with me. I was too futuristic. Maybe I sounded critical instead of encouraging. And I just so want the youth, the adults, to experience really genuinely loving themselves and not resorting to drugs to make them feel better. It's a false feeling of love. It's a temporary fix.
Nancy, I'd like to make a comment and then invite any of the others to. Thank you for the point.
Thank you. Thank you.
At the heart of the Earth Charter, in my view, is the notion of respect. And it begins with respect for self, of course, being given our nature. But one of the great aspects of the intellectual architecture, if you will, of the Earth Charter is that it invites us into a larger sense of self so that we can identify with those around us. And not just our families and our larger community of humans, but the larger community of life. And I think if we develop that larger sense of self, it reinforces our own value and our own respect for self. Don't know if there are any other comments on that or
But
another.
How is it being done realistically? How is a person, I've been looking for elders and people to support me and everybody runs. How are we gonna support people like the rabbi said and lift people up? Like, I like to imagine a ladder, like Jacob's ladder, and we're all on our own ladders climbing to the, let's say, the North Star. And I want to extend my right hand upward and be pulled and supported upward by those who have achieved self-love. And I want to extend my left hand down to the person beneath me who doesn't have as much self-love and pull them up the ladder. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy.
No
Peter, I
worries.
think Noémie wanted to weigh in on that one. Did you, Noémie?
Yes, thank you. Well, I would say that I was really fortunate in my life to grow up with my grandparents. My mother was really working hard because she divorced when I was only 3, and she was a single mom taking care of me. So they taught me so much values, but I was still they were still old, and I was having a lot of energy, and that's where I found the animals around me, and that's where I have this kind of first not first because obviously I grew up, so but as a connection with animals and earth around me. And that's where I learned actually empathy. Of course, when I was young, I didn't understand that this was love, this was empathy, that we were sharing a connection, but it taught me so much. And so maybe if you like in your life some type of love can be found everywhere, anywhere, and it will brings you as much. It will fills you inside your heart and your soul. And sometimes it could be also in your religious community, or just with just walking on the forest. Like I feel so energized when I'm very grateful. I live in the mountains, so there's so much positive energy. It's really not like living in a city. And just to finish, like once I met someone just like that. I guess this was moment in the life in the tramway in Nice, and this person then she became like the mentor of my life. She was owning an NGO, a water sanitation and hygiene NGO. I was kind of lost at this moment in my studies. She guided me, and today I'm part of who I am from a complete stranger that I met on the tramway. So you never know what life can bring you, and you just need to have very open eyes. And yeah, that's just what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Noémie. It's an example of that intergenerational solidarity that is an important concept, but takes place on a personal level. Well, thank you. I think, Brielle, if you're ready, perhaps we can share a bit of a poem now. There you are. I see you. This is a reading of the Earth Charter and a poem by Alison Hawthorne Deming, the American poet, entitled Owning the Imperatives, a poem for the Earth Charter. And we'll do it as an intercalated reading from the Earth Charter and then from the poem.
All right. Principle 1, respect Earth and life in all its diversity.
Respect the doctrine of the sun-warm earth, where life lifts sweet and peppery into the sky, reaching for something warmer until it stops and knows its name.
Principle 2, care for the community of life with understanding, compassion, and love.
Care for all the rooms of the house, especially the one where the dust and unpacked boxes are piled, because what is flawed and unfinished teaches what is sacred.
Principle 3, build democratic societies that are just, participatory, sustainable, and peaceful.
Build a council table for the factions in the mind that disagree with dreams of human kindness.
Principle 4, secure Earth's bounty and beauty for present and future generations.
Secure the doors of wildness, where the bedroom where descendants sleep against attack.
Principle 5, protect and restore the integrity of Earth's ecological systems, with special concern for biological diversity and the natural processes that sustain life.
Protect and restore the future as a neighborhood where children want to live.
Principle 6, prevent harm as the best method of environmental protection, and when knowledge is limited, apply precautionary approach.
prevent lies and crimes from visiting as virtues in disguise.
Principle 7, adopt patterns of production, consumption, and reproduction that safeguard Earth's regenerative capacities, human rights, and community well-being.
Adopt the ravine where the Tool elks graze, the burn where Bishop's pines release their fire-hardy seeds, the relict forest where the wren-tip, monkey flower, Salianthus rebound the vista on the mountain trail where bobcat leaves her daily scat. The filth where flukes and flatworms feed, the canyon winds older than life, because love, even when held only in mind, creates spiritual effects in our world, our wounded mother, unbroken, continuous, whole.
Principle 8, advance the study of ecological sustainability and promote the open exchange and wide application of the knowledge acquired.
Advance the science of the ancients, which is gratitude, and let no one own the commonwealth of attention paid to the real.
Principle 9, eradicate poverty as an ethical, social, and environmental imperative.
Eradicate the desperation of the poor by swapping anger alleyways and ash cans for books, bicycles, and bags of wheat.
Principle 10, ensure that economic activities and institutions at all levels promote human development in an equitable and sustainable manner.
Ensure that each person in the family has the choice, the old one, the crazy, the poor, the child, whether to eat alone in her room or go hungry or join the table set for company.
Principle 11, affirm gender equality and equity as prerequisites to sustainable development and ensure universal access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunity.
Affirm the body as a deer path along which evolution runs, lost in the pleasure of leap, stretch, and scent. Each creature a sheltering habitat for that force, each habitat an equal source of wisdom.
Principle 12, uphold the right of all, without discrimination, to a natural and social environment supportive of human dignity, bodily health, and spiritual well-being, with special attention to the rights of Indigenous peoples and minorities.
Uphold the oldest family stories, pasture, trail, savanna, cave, as the clay from which you and your house are made.
Principle 13, strengthen democratic institutions at all levels and provide transparency and accountability in governance, inclusive participation in decision-making, and access to justice.
Strengthen the patience of children so they learn to listen for the quiet voices.
Principle 14, integrate into formal education and lifelong learning the knowledge, values, and skills needed for a sustainable way of life.
Integrate windows for beauty and doorways for possibilities into household renovations.
Principle 15, treat all living beings with respect and consideration.
Treat animals as if they understood complexity better than human beings do. Treat human beings as if they understood kindness better than complexity.
And finally, Principle 16, promote a culture of tolerance, nonviolence, and peace.
Promote collective good whenever it speaks with a clear voice. Invite it indoors, no matter if it wears the clothes of anger, shame, poverty, grief. For given shelter, it may leave those garments with its weapons at the door and dress to take its place at the family table. Thank you, Brielle. Thank you, participants, Amanda, Greshma, Noémie. Blessings, Rabbi. Thank you. Dankjewel. Thank you, Ben, for an amazing week.
Thank you very much, Peter Blaze, and thank you, Greshma. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Noémie. I actually have one final question, Peter, to hear from before maybe a quick word from each of you before we close. I think on Monday, the 28th of June, the Earth Charter will be 21 years old. What are your hopes for the next 20 years? Where would you like to see the Earth Charter 21 years from now, or around 20 years from now? And maybe Peter, you can kick that off.
Oh my goodness, may I, what do you do in football? May I give a lateral pass to the
handball, yeah.
Oh, that's Australian football. I'd love to hear from the young colleagues on that one. 20 years from now, 21 years from now.
Thank you so much, everyone. I just want to say I am extremely grateful for the education I received growing up, but 20 years from now, I really hope that education for sustainable development is part of every single school around the world, and that next time we deal with a pandemic or something like this, children will not have to miss school a single day because through the Earth Charter principles and the Sustainable Development Goals, education will be available to everyone, and people will be able to reconnect with nature through this education and with each other.
Noémie, you had your hand up as well? Yes.
Yes, that's my maybe international law background, but I would love every state to make a declaration and sign it, or transform it as a kind of treaty where they could have this core document every time they are now negotiating or thinking, like a background, like we are doing now in our everyday life, having the Earth Charter in the corner of our head, then that they make their political decision having the Earth Charter in their heart and in their mind. That would be my dream for the next 20 years.
Beautiful. Thank you. Greshma.
For me, as I told in my presentation, a small action can bring significant change. So I really want to reach Earth Charter to everyone, and if they are acting, if they are doing a small act, it will bring billions of change. Like billions of acts will be like billions of change for the Earth. So that's my dream: reach Earth Charter to everyone and to see the change in 20 years. Thank you.
It is beautiful. Thank you, Greshma. Thank you. And Brielle, I think also Peter had a comment to make.
I want everyone to know about the Earth Charter, not just those in environmental sustainability fields. I want it to be integrated in everything we do, talked about just in our daily lives, sort of like, it's literally a charter that we can follow, like our Earth Charter Bible, sort of.
Very good.
Ben, I would make a quick comment on that. Sometimes I say that the most amazing thing about the Earth Charter is that it exists at all, because it's so complicated to agree on ethics. These are the most fundamental things, and to agree across generations, across political divides, across faith traditions, heaven knows, across all the things that divide us, for a group of people to have come together and charted a course that can still guide us toward a just, humane, peaceful, sustainable future is a remarkable thing in itself. So one of my hopes would be, and as I said, it's imbued with ancient wisdom from the faith traditions, but even more so from the indigenous traditions. And I think my hope, Ben, would be that we continue on that path of bringing the ancient knowledge forward, and to use that knowledge to find ways to work across differences to create the life that we need, and to solve this civilizational crisis and move to a period of harmony and unity.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Peter Blaze, for an incredibly rich session, and Awraham Soetendorp. Thanks to Greshma and Noémie, and to Amanda as well, and of course to Brielle. So let's close. Let's close with a little message from our dear friends at Purpose Earth as well. And thank you very much for the session today.
Purpose Earth grant and mentorship program has helped us to achieve our mission and goals, as well as instill a great enthusiasm and hope in the community.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you, panelists. Thank you so much, everybody. Again, thank you for a very rich session on the Earth Charter. Well done. Congratulations. And here's to the next 21 years of the